Oop, it just ended. That was some Death Valley footage that we got from film collector, filmmaker Craig Baldwin. Some raw footage of Death Valley. I'm Skip Alsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch stuff like that. Sometimes it is interesting. Sometimes that's just raw footage. And I was just checking the audio. God, what do we got going on? So behind me I have a film scanner, and we have a film that just showed up yesterday from Albuquerque, New Mexico, where they are trying to get rid of their footage, trying to cull down their collection to something that is more manageable, and trying to find a new home for their collection. So this is Problemas De Un Turista. It's in Spanish. Enjoy.
Señor, son 3 nacionales. Dígale al señor que él me dio guaraníes.
Dice que lo que tú le diste a él no es plata argentina, sino paraguaya.
Sí, comprendo. Tome. Esto de andar con nacionales, bolivianos, sucres, colones, soles, quetzales, me tiene medio loco.
¿Cómo vamos de aquí al centro?
Tome un colectivo en esta esquina.
¿Un qué?
Un colectivo, un bus.
Pero no se llaman micros.
Eso es en Chile, hombre. Un poco enredado, ¿verdad?
A mí me lo dice.
Vamos por esta calle para llegar a la Plaza de Mayo.
¿Oíste la pronunciación de las leyes?
Aquí en la Argentina hablan casi igual que en el Paraguay y el Uruguay.
Bueno, no sean cargantes. En Latinoamérica no hablamos tan bien como en España, ¿pero qué?
No te enojes, hombre. Estamos comparando nomás. Y lo de hablar mejor o peor es algo muy relativo.
Parece que cada vez que abro la boca, meto la pata.
Eso es lo malo, viejo. ¿Las fotos las mandaste a revelar?
Sí. Y también compré estas tarjetas postales. Yo no sé. Apenas entré me preguntaron. Usted es norteamericano, ¿no?
Yo fui a cambiar unos cheques personales al banco. El director, Alberto Rodríguez, es muy buena persona. Me dio el visto bueno inmediatamente.
¿A cómo estaba el cambio?
A 30 por 1. Bueno, tengo un hambre feroz. ¿Vamos a almorzar?
Muy buena idea. ¿Qué sugieres?
Un churrasco bien jugoso.
Sweet. Yeah, pretty great. I don't speak Spanish, unfortunately, so I'm not quite sure what happened. So maybe somebody in the comments will describe if they speak Spanish. In the meantime, let's spend some time at the Penny Arcade, and hopefully YouTube will not bring the hammer down. Enjoy.
That's where I once strayed and met someone as the music. When I love you, won't you say you love me too? At the Penny Arcade, oh, the games we played, we had such fun as the music. When I love you, won't you That's what the fortune said at the penny arcade. Oh, the plans we made. We fell in love as the music when I love you. Won't you say you love me too? By the way, we named the day at the penny arcade. That's where I once strayed and met someone as the music when I love you. Won't you say you love me too? At the penny arcade. Oh, the games we played. We had such fun as the music when I love you. Won't you say you love me too? By the way, we named the day at the penny arcade.
So I think that was a soundie, but I'm not sure. It was clipped. So there you go. And soundies weren't necessarily well synced. One of the best ones is Fats Waller, who is performing and singing along to a recording, and it's clear that he would have different flourishes when he performed, and so he gets way off sync many times. Would a soundie machine, a panorama machine, be at a penny arcade? I doubt it. I think they charged more. I think it was later in time. It was also at bars and nightclubs, which could not or did not want to pay for a live band. So there you go. This is an interesting film. Living in the Southern States, Historic Land, New Ideas, 2nd edition. This is a Cornet film. And I'd listened to a little bit of it just to kind of get a sound check. And right off the bat, it's like, I mean, this is more forward thinking or more aware of the issues that we have in the South that we thought that we had gotten over. I don't know. But here it is. Enjoy.
It's a land of tradition, but the tempo of life in the South is changing. 11 states make up this region. It contains 1/4 of the area of the country. 1/5 of the people live here. It's an area rich in heritage. Williamsburg, Virginia, with its reconstructed 18th century houses and shops, recaptures the colonial tradition of the South. Costume Southerners help recreate those important early days in American history. Throughout the South, there are reminders of this period and of another one important to Southern history.
This was the first White House of the Confederacy. Jefferson Davis lived here. Some of us Southerners are still fighting the war between the states. But when an event leaves your land in ruin and violently alters your way of life, you don't easily forget that event, nor do your children, or their children, or their children. When young men die and a cause is lost, a great sadness can overwhelm a land.
The Civil War brought vast changes to the South. The end of slavery created problems for blacks and whites that haven't been settled yet. The war disrupted the economy of the South, and the South was slow in recovering. But it has recovered. New ideas are at work now. Cotton was king in the Old South, and it still is. But now cotton farming is mechanized and the basis of an important textile industry. The textile industry employs a fourth of the industrial workers of the South.
This cloth is 35% cotton, 65% rayon. The cotton's from here in South Carolina, and so is the rayon. My textile mill is one of, at least 1,000 in the state. There isn't any other state that produces the amount of textiles we do. Very few whole countries do either. I was born on a farm. I still love the country, but the work is in the cities now. That's why I'm here.
Even though the industries of the cities have drawn many people from the country, the South is still largely an agricultural region, with a third of the nation's farms. 1 million tons of sugarcane come out of Florida and Louisiana each year, and more than 1 million tons of rice from Louisiana and Arkansas. "40% of the country's tobacco is grown in North Carolina. Truck farms supply the southern cities with a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. And then there's peanuts.
George Washington Carver turned the South on to peanuts. He knew that cotton and tobacco were wearing out the soil. In his research laboratory, he made more than 300 different products from peanuts. His work helped to convince Southern farmers that they could make a good income from peanuts. And they do today. We grow more peanuts here in Georgia than in any other state. And we make more peanut butter too. Carver revolutionized farming in the South.
Food processing is one of the important industries of the South, the leading industry in Arkansas. Many agricultural products besides peanuts are processed in the South. Cheese is forming from milk in this vat. Dairy products are another important part of the food processing industry. The cattle industry is growing in Florida. In Alabama, cattle raising brings in most of the farm income. In Georgia, chicken farming is a major industry.
This is my daddy's farm, and I just help him out on weekends. I'm washing the drinkers now. The chickens like fresh water. We raise broilers. That means we keep chicks until they're about 8 weeks old. The feeding's all automatic. Right now, Daddy's on his way to the hatchery to pick up a new load of chicks. In high school, we learned that we produce more chickens and broilers here in Georgia than most other states do. We're right at the top. The whole South is, really. 90% of America's broilers come from around here.
Agricultural products of the southern states appear in food stores across the nation, as well as in stores and markets of the South. Not all products of the land are aimed for the dinner table. Some reach the baseball field. Or the living room. North Carolina makes more wooden furniture than any other state. Forests cover large areas of the South, but the furniture and wood product industries use up timber fast. To make sure that there'll be a supply of wood in the future, tree farms have been established. There are more than 3,000 of them in just Mississippi. Experimental tree nurseries are also helping to develop better timber.
What we're trying to develop is a faster growing strain of usable timber. I'm a geneticist. My specialty is evergreen pollination. What we do is take pollen from a strain that has a characteristic we want. Then we inject it into a casing around the female flower of a tree with other good characteristics. Hopefully we'll get seeds that produce a more valuable timber tree. Through crossbreeding, trees have been produced here that are taller, thicker, even straighter. But what's more important to me, personally, is that because of tree farms like this one, our country is planting about 25% more timber than it's cutting down.
Timber is a renewable resource, but many non-renewable resources play an important part in the economy of the South today. Iron ore, as well as coal and limestone, the main ingredients of steel, are all found in Alabama. Bauxite is mined in Arkansas. Arkansas bauxite is turned into aluminum in Alabama mills. Sulfur wells in Louisiana produce more than 2 million tons of sulfur every year, mainly for manufacturing sulfuric acid. Mississippi's natural gas is piped to users throughout the eastern half of the United States. This plant in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, is part of the large oil refining industry in the South. More than 700 oil and chemical products are produced in this plant alone. The main sources of the oil are the offshore wells along the Gulf Coast of Louisiana. Oil from these wells, plus cargoes from around the world, pass through the port of New Orleans on the Mississippi River.
I push grain barges to the grain elevator upriver. We go 16 miles up the river from New Orleans and 55 miles downriver. You really have to know the river. They got different currents, upstream current and all kinds of things like that. You got to really watch it. A push boat drives something like a car. I push mostly grain barges. No special training, I just picked up the job. Little by little, you catch on to it. A lot of barges, a lot of boats, a lot of ships, a lot of traffic here in New Orleans.
The Mississippi is a major highway of commerce in the South. Some rivers of the South are also used for another important purpose: power. Dams provide hydroelectric power for many areas of the South. Available power and available resources are helping the South develop industrially. The South has been using traditional sources of energy and nuclear energy too. This reactor at the Savannah River Laboratory in South Carolina produced U-235 during World War II. At the Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee, scientists are doing basic research in atomic physics, chemistry, biology, and related fields. These robot hands are controlled by the operator standing behind a shielded wall. The South is also the base for most of our space exploration. Kennedy Space Center is on Cape Canaveral in Florida. The Space Center is here because of the good weather in the region and nearness to the ocean, which are the two main reasons for the development of another major industry in the South, tourism, especially in Florida. But parts of the South are attracting more than just tourists now. The mild weather and the ocean have attracted many new permanent residents. Housing and shopping centers are going up. There are more cars and more highways to accommodate them. And, of course, there are the problems. Industry brings pollution. When swamps are drained to provide more land for housing, wildlife dies and ecologists are unhappy. There are still poverty problems and problems of inequality, historic problems that are gradually being solved. An agricultural region is changing to a land of major cities and industries. Out of the historic lands of the South, a new South is rising.
The mic on. I've been trying to get this film set up, the next film set up for the scanner, and it's being problematic, annoying, and I'm not sure of the title of it, so we're gonna run it. It's missing the title, but it is beautiful color, which I love. Let me fix this. It's all this stuff we're doing. All right, here we go. I think this is called Electric Home Appliances, but I don't know. We'll see. Enjoy.
These electric heating appliances are used in cooking foods, in the sick room, and in laundry work. Of these, the electric iron is the most widely used. The iron illustrates the principle of the common electrical heating appliance. This pressure plate holds the heating element firmly in place. Sheets of mica separate this heating element from the metal of the iron. Mica is an insulator and does not easily conduct electricity. The actual heating is produced in this resistance wire. In this iron, the resistance wire is wound around a sheet of mica. The passage of electrons through the resistance wire produces heat. This heat is transmitted to the base of the iron. The motion of the electrons is a representation of an alternating current. Overheating or dropping an electric iron may cause damage to the heating unit. If the damage is in the resistance wire or in the insulating material, the iron can be restored to usefulness by inserting a new heating unit. Many modern irons include a temperature controlling device called a thermostat. The principle of the thermostat mechanism is shown by this animated drawing. At the top is a strip consisting of two metals welded together. As the iron cools, the strip again straightens out and makes contact. Electrons flow through the circuit. As this iron heats, the lower metal of the strip expands more than the upper metal. This causes the strip to bend and again break the contact. No electrons can flow and the iron cools. This alternate closing and opening of the circuit maintains a nearly constant temperature. This action of a bimetal strip is the principle of most household thermostats. The incandescent electric lamp uses a resistance wire to produce light. The intensity of the light produced by the heated filament depends upon the length, the size, and the material of which the wire is made. Modern floor lamps direct much of the light upward for more even illumination. The fluorescent bulb is more economical because more of the energy is converted into light. A glow bulb switch starts the action. When the lamp is turned on, some electrons flow across the gap in the glow bulb. The heat from this arc causes a bimetal strip to make contact, eliminating the arc. Many electrons now flow through the metallic circuit, heating the filaments in the fluorescent bulb. The bimetal strip cools, bends, and opens the upper circuit. At that instant, electrons given off by the heated filament start to flow through the lamp. Let us repeat. Lamp switch, glow, contact, heating of filaments, cooling of bimetal strip, breaking of starter circuit, lamp lights. The fluorescent bulb contains mercury vapor molecules, shown as black dots. The moving electrons frequently collide with the mercury molecules, causing the molecules to give off invisible ultraviolet radiation. The inside of the glass tube is coated with a fluorescent substance. The short-wave ultraviolet radiation strikes this coating and is absorbed. The fluorescent material then emits a longer wave radiation, visible to the eye, and called light. Electricity is also used to operate motors, as in the washing machine, in the dishwasher, in the electric mixer, and in many other appliances of everyday convenience. Of course, all of these motor appliances involve other physical principles besides electricity. The vacuum cleaner is one of the common home appliances driven by a motor. The fan which draws the dirt into the cleaner bag is connected directly to the motor. Let us start the motor and see the fan as it revolves. The revolving part of the motor is called the armature. This armature connects with the electric circuit by means of two graphite rods called brushes. If these brushes become worn down, replacement is easily made by unscrewing the cap over the spring which holds the brush in position. The worn brush is then removed from the spring and a new brush is inserted. The spring and brush are placed in position and the cap replaced. This is a common type of motor repair. The common type of electric refrigerator also depends upon the use of a motor. The electric motor drives a compressor pump. Pipelines connect the compressor with the condenser and with the evaporator. A refrigerant is used which normally is a gas, but which can be changed to a liquid by compression. The compressor pump, driven by the motor, draws the gas molecules from the evaporator above and forces them into the condenser, thus compressing the gas. In the condenser, heat is withdrawn from the gas by the cooling surfaces. Because of this cooling and the high pressure, the gas molecules condense to a liquid. A fan, also driven by the electric motor, is sometimes used to carry away this heat. Here we see the compressor pump, and here is the condenser with the fan in back of it. The liquid is forced into the evaporator through a needle valve. Here, under reduced pressure, the liquid evaporates and becomes a gas. In this process, heat is withdrawn in the compartment. The pump again draws the gas from the evaporator and forces it into the condenser, where it again liquefies, and the cycle begins again. As a result of heat being withdrawn from the freezing compartment, conveyors set up in the air within the refrigerator. Cold air is heavier than warm air. Hence, the cold air moves downward from the freezing compartment towards the bottom of the refrigerator. The air which has been warmed by heat taken up from the foods is forced upwards. This warmer air comes in contact with the freezing unit, is cooled, and the circulation continues. Electrical appliances should be properly maintained. This consists of such factors as regular inspection, repair, cleaning, and oiling. Electrical appliances should be carefully selected for sturdiness of construction and economy of operation. Wise selection and proper maintenance will assure long life of operating usefulness.
A little bit more excited about that than it actually was, although I am a big fan of animations of refrigeration. It's pretty cool. All the little tiny particles coming together, and then they're spreading out, and it's a lot of work to animate that. So, and you know, that was somebody in Chicago doing that work, I'm sure. Here's the living mammal. Enjoy.
Mammals have always fascinated man. However, they are often shy, and it is difficult to get to know them. Let us see what we can learn about the living mammal. Of all living creatures, only mammals and birds are warm-blooded. These muskrats have a warm body temperature regardless of the water or air about them. While birds are covered with feathers, mammals are usually covered with hair. The thick coat of hair serves as insulation against the cold during the freezing months of winter. When spring comes, the gray winter coat of the white-tailed deer begins to fall out, and it is gradually replaced with a red summer coat that is lighter and thinner, and much more suitable for warm weather wear. One thing all mammals have in common: they feed their young on milk. The milk is produced by special glands of the female. It is a nourishing food, providing all of the ingredients needed for the proper growth of the young. The Latin word for breast is mamma, and animals using this method of feeding their young are called mammals. There are many kinds of mammals on Earth, and they live in many kinds of environments. The sea otter with waterproof fur and webbed hind feet is quite at home in the rolling ocean waves. Some mammals, like the porpoise, are so well adapted to life in the water that they look more like a fish than a mammal. However, the porpoise is warm-blooded, feeds its young on milk, and though its hair is limited to a few whiskers, it must be classified as a true mammal. Of all the mammals, only the bats have become skillful in flight. The wings of a bat are formed by membranes of skin that extend from the forelimbs to the hind limbs and usually include the tail. The long extension of the finger bones provides support for a wing surface and allows the bat to take readily to the air. Some mammals, like the squirrel, make their homes in the treetops. Long claws that cling to the rough bark and legs that swivel in almost any direction make them expert climbers. Most mammals are best equipped to live on the ground. The pronged-horned antelope has specialized feet for running. It literally walks on its toes. The toenails form sharp hoofs, and these combined with long muscular legs gives the antelope the speed it requires to avoid danger. Most mammals have excellent vision. The antelope can see great distances and detect the slightest movement in the surrounding countryside. The bulging eyes set on the sides of the head permit vision in two directions at the same time. Mammals that hunt have their eyes set to look straight forward. This fox has binocular vision, giving him the ability to accurately judge distance, an important ability in the pursuit of prey. The sense of hearing is also well developed in mammals. Watch the ears of this young deer turning in two directions at the same time, working like two separate radar antennae to tune in the sounds of the forest on all sides. Bats use their ears to help them navigate while in flight. By emitting ultrasonic sounds so high-pitched that the human ear cannot hear them, and listening for the echoes, the bat can locate objects ahead even in utter darkness. This armadillo is not only using his ears and eyes, but also his nose to detect friend from foe in the surrounding area. The sense of smell is highly developed in many mammals, and they often use it to detect things which they can neither see nor hear. Whiskers, such as these on the opossum, provide a delicate sense of touch, which is most useful when the animal prowls in darkness. The senses are often combined during the hunt for food. Watch this coyote catch a mouse. Using eyes, ears, and nose combined, he pounces upon a mouse, which becomes part of his food for the day. The coyote has sharp canine teeth, useful in seizing and killing prey. Notice that the molars have sharp cutting edges used in chewing meat. Like the coyote, the red fox often hunts animals for food. Animals that eat meat are called carnivorous. Animals like the deer, feeding only on vegetation, are called herbivorous. Notice that the canine teeth are absent in the skull of the deer. Sharp incisors are present only in the lower jaw and are useful in tearing leaves from plants. The flat molar teeth, equipped with sharp ridges, make excellent grinders for vegetation. Many of the grazing animals have an interesting way of handling their food. The elk, as it clips the grass, chews it lightly and swallows it into a false stomach called the rumen. Here, special bacteria help to chemically decompose the grass. Later, when the elk is resting, this partially digested grass is formed into a small ball called the cud and is brought back to the jaws for further chewing at leisure. The chewing is accomplished with a sidewinder action, making full use of the flat molar teeth. Then it is swallowed again into the real stomach. Now watch as the next cud comes up for further chewing. The squirrel is a member of the rodent family, and like all rodents has special sharp front teeth that can cut into the hardest of fruits and seeds. The incisors of rodents grow continuously, wearing against each other as they are used. This constant grinding keeps the incisors chisel sharp. The woodchuck, using its chisel teeth, chops up fresh green plants. Many mammals, like the raccoon, eat both plants and animals and are called omnivorous. Their teeth are a compromise between sharp cutting teeth and flat grinding teeth. Some mammals have interesting ways of protecting themselves. This armadillo's body is covered with heavy fused scales that serve as a suit of armor. The porcupine is covered with a protective coat of sharp quills. Each quill has many tiny barbs, making the quill difficult to extract once it impales the flesh. The porcupine turns its back on an enemy so that the sharp quills point toward the attacker. By whipping its tail loaded with quills back and forth, the porcupine provides a defense that is difficult to penetrate. The ability of the skunk to protect itself is well known. When danger approaches, the skunk threatens and warns the intruder by stamping its feet and raising its tail like a flag. If the dog continues to approach, the skunk exposes 2 scent glands under the tail and sprays jets of evil-smelling oil for a distance of 10 feet. This gas attack quickly sends the dog on his way. The opossum is well known for its ability to play dead when it is in danger. Watch this opossum assume the attitude of death as the dog approaches. The dog sniffs and pokes, but the opossum continues to play dead. As soon as the dog leaves, the opossum quickly returns to normal, none the worse for its trying experience. The mule deer's antlers, combined with sharp hoofs, make very effective weapons for defense. Antlers and horns are not only useful in defense, but also in the battles for leadership of the herd. During the mating season, fights frequently break out between the bison bulls. A young male has challenged the leader of the herd, and the fight becomes savage and vicious as they struggle back and forth, pushing horn to horn in a test of strength. Each bull puts all of his might and endurance into the battle. Time and again, they collide, slamming 4 heads together with pile-driver force. Sometimes these battles last for 10 to 20 minutes. Eventually, the weaker bull is driven off, and only the strongest remains with the cows during the time of mating. Almost all mammals give birth to their young alive. This skunk has a nesting burrow under the stump. 5 weeks ago, her young looked like this, blind, naked, and helpless. The mother gave them constant care, feeding them with milk from her body. Now they are old enough to leave the nesting burrow, and she will begin to teach them how to find food and meet the dangers of life. The opossum is a marsupial or pouched animal and carries her young in a pouch similar to the kangaroo. At birth, these young were only the size of bumblebees. They had no eyes or ears. Unaided, they climbed into the pouch where they attached themselves to nipples. Protected within the pouch and supplied with nourishing milk, the young grew rapidly. These young are about 2 weeks old and have increased their original weight by 15 times. In less than 3 months, the young emerge from the pouch and crawl about on their mother's back. While some mammals are born blind, naked, and helpless, others are covered with fur, have good eyes, and can follow their mothers on the very first day. Though no home has been provided for these bison calves, they will find plenty of protection from enemies within the herd. The moose keeps her calf close to her side, always watchful for danger. When she decides to cross the stream, the calf at her side plunges in and follows without hesitation. The water is cold, and the strong current swings the calf downstream. But the danger is not great, for the mother moose is watchful, and she comes up to her calf as soon as possible to make sure that he has made the crossing safely. In this patch of dry grass lies a young pronged horned antelope, safely hidden by protective camouflage. His mother, grazing on a nearby hilltop, keeps a sharp lookout for enemies. If danger approaches, she does not panic, but instead moves leisurely away, hoping to lead the enemy away from her young, who will remain hidden in the grass. Mammals will often risk their lives to save their young. When we uncovered the nest of this house mouse, she desperately began to take her young up the wall to a place of safety. One at a time, she snatched her young out of danger. Originally, she had 9 in the nest, but soon she was down to 4, and then there were only 2, and finally 1, and then there were none. This is the 9th trip, and it's a long way up to the top, and somehow, in reaching over, she drops him. But she's right down after him, picks him up as if it's his fault, and she starts up the wall once again. This time she uses much more care, gets him over safely, and then all is well. Some mammals build large, strong homes to protect their young. This beaver is constructing a solid house of mud and sticks. There is no entrance above the water. The beaver must dive underwater to find the entrance. Beaver frequently build dams to keep the water at a high, constant level, high enough to keep the underwater entrance hidden and safe. The woodchuck finds safety for its young by digging a burrow underground. It is not always easy to dig in the hard, stony earth, especially when an extra large rock is encountered. But persistence and a stout pair of hind legs finds a way, and the obstacle soon becomes a part of the debris around the entrance. The 13-line ground squirrel also uses an underground burrow for a home. The long underground tunnel ends in a nesting chamber lined with fine grass. The young ground squirrels are provided with both comfort and security deep underground. Toward the end of summer, the ground squirrel begins to feed on the rich harvest of seed and grain and acquire a heavy layer of fat on its body. Finally, in late October, it retires to the underground nesting chamber to begin its winter sleep or hibernation. The entrance of the burrow has been sealed with earth, and the nesting chamber is placed well below the frost line, beyond reach of freezing temperatures. Hibernation is very different from ordinary sleep. The body temperature of the ground squirrel has dropped from the high 90s to a low of 37 degrees. The heartbeat has slowed from a normal of 200 or 300 beats per minute down to a low of only 5 per minute. And the rate of breathing has dropped from 50 times per minute down to 4. All of the body functions have been reduced to the barest possible minimum. The ground squirrel has hung out the do not disturb sign and will not wake up until the sun warms up the earth next spring. Most mammals are fascinating creatures. They can make our visits to national parks and wilderness areas attractive and enjoyable. Learn to know the mammals better, for they are an interesting part of the living world around us.
What time is it? All right, where am I? Okay. I got a mystery film here, and we're going to watch it, but I have no idea. It says ARC Sock State, 1975. For some reason I wrote 79, but I'll fix that. All right, I don't know what this is. Let's see. It might be great, it might be horrible, but it will definitely be longer than 6 minutes. So, thanks for joining us. If you have to leave at 2 or leave at the hour, hit the thumbs up. You can support us by going to the Super Thanks button in YouTube chat or Patreon or ko-fi.com/abgeeks. All right, here we go. This is exciting. Ark Sock State, 1975. Enjoy. I was hoping that there was going to be sound on there somewhere, and I was keeping an eye on it to see if there was maybe magnetic sound stripe, but there was not. But your guys' comments are hilarious. So thanks for indulging me and let me watch this film. Ark Sock State, 1975. You know, they're not all amazing, but sometimes we get to see amazing. Plus, we get to see that little mechanical chimp with the cymbals a couple of times. So, thanks for joining us. If you like what you saw, you can hit the thumbs up, the like. You can donate, which I mentioned before. If you are in the area, I'm doing a screening at the D.H. Hill Library next to the coffee shop. I think if they call it the Fishbowl or the Aquarium. I'll be showing films about cats, and there'll be some experts from the vet school also talking about cats. And that's 7 o'clock tonight. It is free. And so you can go by, grab a coffee, sit, and watch films about cats. I'll be back again tomorrow. No, I won't, actually, because I am going to be getting my teeth cleaned. So I have something special prepared for you. Hopefully it won't be as torturous as getting my teeth cleaned, but maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But I'll see you on Monday, if I survive it. Everybody take care. We will talk soon. Goodbye.